For too long, Washington flourished, politicians prospered, the establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs. That all changes starting right here and right now. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. It's going to be only America first. Buy American and hire American. No challenge can match the heart and fight and spirit of America. We will not fail. Our country will thrive and prosper again. We will reinforce old alliances and form new ones and unite the civilized world against radical Islamic terrorism, which we will eradicate completely from the face of the earth. We will be protected by the great men and women of our military and law enforcement. We will bring back our jobs. We will bring back our borders. We will bring back our wealth. And we will bring back our dreams. We will face challenges. We will confront hardships. But we will get the job done. Together, we will determine the course of America and the world for many, many years to come. This moment is your moment. It belongs to you.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is my name is Nexius, or otherwise known as Scott. It's my first attempt at a show this evening. I'm glad to be able to share it with you. We're only 5 days out from the election, and couldn't be more excited. This is one of the greatest, most important elections ever in my lifetime, and maybe the history of this country that we're in, the United States. President Donald J. Trump has touched people's hearts and affected the world in ways that I could never possibly imagine. 4 years ago, I was in the Bay Area, in San Francisco area, San Diego, or sorry, not San Diego, San Jose, and I was actually leading anti-Trump rallies. I was very much in the activist movement, organizing community action and educating activists on how to maintain peaceful and sustainable activism within communities. And I was believing the lies. I was believing the mainstream narrative that was being shared. And as I went further and further and deeper into my investigations, I realized how wrong I was and how I believed the mainstream narrative. I believed the news outlets. I believed the propaganda that was being sold to me. And as I went deeper and deeper and looked into who this man was and actually listened to his words himself, I began to truly, truly understand that how corrupt the mainstream media was. I always knew it ever since the 90s when I was younger, and I got introduced to William Cooper's book, Behold a Pale Horse. And I started diving into all of the ways that humanity has been manipulated through our food systems, through our pharmaceutical systems, through mainstream news and mind washing and media propaganda. I was aware. I knew I was awake. I was living in a world where I couldn't figure out how to actually survive and make use of myself in a world where I knew there's so much lies happening. And once I realized that the tides had changed, that the script had been flipped, then I started diving deeper into what was going on. I started diving deeper into who this man who was so much hated by so many in this country, who's feared, who is called the next Hitler and called racist and xenophobic and hate filled. So realizing who he truly was, and I realized that the only thing bigger than this man's ego is his heart. Uh, it's a truly first president in my lifetime that I've ever experienced who's actually fighting for the people, who actually I feel is fighting for me, and I have nothing but gratitude. I have nothing but admiration for this man, and I want to apologize for all the ways that I was anti, all the ways that I spoke out against him, and all the ways when I was standing on a stage holding a rally in San Jose, how I just touted the same garbage that the media was touting. It's like held the same fears that was projected through all of society. And now I feel that this man has been fighting for me, and I'm going to continue to keep fighting. I'm beginning to start this show, and hopefully, the game plan is this show is going to be a place where I can share all of my passions. I can have some friends on and interview who are deep into many different levels of research. My Some of my passions have been yoga, sound healing, and breath work, and consciousness and spirituality. And music is a huge piece of what I do. I look forward to being able to have a platform where I can share my voice, share the research, the studies that I've been doing, and continue to bring something to the conversation that might not be there, at least in my circles. And I'm very grateful for all the patriots that have been out there opening up, having channels, having the conversation on a very consistent basis. All those people who've stepped up and been censored and taken down and have been moved from many platforms and continue just to keep showing up and sharing messages. And I've been very, very inspired to come out and be able to share my messages and be able to share my voice. It's taken me quite a bit to be able to come up with the courage, the active, the actual like movement forward, the motivation to go forward. Share. And doing live and in-person meetings and sharing this information in an in-person setting. But for me, getting online has been a little bit of a jump. It's like putting myself out there. It's a little rough for me at the moment, but I'm doing it. I'm getting there, and we're gonna keep going through and keep trying to build this platform, and hopefully, patriots out there, hopefully, fellow soldiers, digital soldiers, those who know where I'm coming from, see what I'm about, can help support me and follow me, and give a like, give a hopefully you can appreciate what I'm bringing to the table. What I do know is that we've got a lot of censorship happening. We've got a lot of people facing a lot of cognitive dissidence. We've got a lot of people looking straight at the truth and turning away and running from it. And as I know, as I've seen, as I'm aware of, there's this wonderful quote that sticks in my mind is sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. And that is so true. That is so true of what's happening today in our society and in our media. And it's hard to believe that the media that has been so such a staple of this society for such a long time is 90% fake, 90% completely to the people. I mean, many of us has known this for a long time, and there's a lot of people who are just waking up to it now, or are still in complete denial of it. And as we keep going forward in this journey, we keep finding out that how many people just want to hold on to the illusion and don't want to look at the truth, don't want to look at the fluffiness, or I want to live in the fluffiness and don't want to look at the raw truth about what is happening. And I personally, being in the yoga industry for a while, working in the yoga world, teaching yoga and breath work and sound healing, I find that there's many people that I come across that feel that they want to live in that high vibe, fluffy rainbows and butterflies kind of lifestyle and not actually look at the darkness. When it comes to the spirituality, the growth of the soul, the growth of the consciousness, we need balance. We have to look at the dark as much as we have to live in the light. We can't ignore half of what is. We know about the yin and the yang. We know that there is darkness. We know that there is light. And right now we're in a great battle. I feel for the consciousness of humanity, and I truly believe that that God does win, and that is the most powerful force in my life. And I stay very, very, very connected as much as I can. And um, past 6 8 months has been very difficult with for everybody, I'm sure, with the coming face to face with the realities that have struck us and restrictions on our freedoms. And for me personally, who runs events and DJs and hosts gatherings and festivals, and my main passion is uniting people and bringing people together and keeping events where union can happen so that we can continue to expand consciousness, continue to expand this connection within communities so that we can build stronger unity. And as I've that's all I've dedicated myself to for quite a while, and being in a place where all of a sudden that has been made illegal. I've been and can't get together. We can't gather. You have to cover your face in many places. It's brought me to a level of feeling that I was illegal. Who I am, what I bring, has been illegal. And it's after being suppressed for so long, for the past or so, I've really gotten to this place where it's time to reignite. It's time to reawaken, and we need to continue to fight back. We need to continue to awaken those around us and stand up to the levels of oppression. I live here in Hawaii, and currently we're back in a position where we've been mostly closed down. There's been a 2 week mandatory quarantine for everyone arriving, and it still is technically in effect. In addition, unless you have a test beforehand before you actually arrive on the islands, and currently the level of restrictions are requiring masks in all public places. Anytime you leave your private residence, you're required to have a mask on, according to Mayor Victorino and Governor Ige. The tyrannical lockdowns here have been stifling. These democratic lawmakers have really been strangling the local people, and we are starting to see a red wave take over Hawaii. And I think maybe for the first time in 60 years, the islands of Hawaii may go red. I think the support for Donald Trump has never been higher. The rallies and the caravans and the way that people have been showing up has been a pretty beautiful, beautiful situation. So, as we continue to move forward, I keep calling out everyone, just get out and vote, vote, vote out these corrupt politicians, vote out these tyrannical, servants of China, of communism, of Marxism. The enemy is at our doorstep, and we need to really need to wake up our friends, wake up our neighbors, and let everybody know that this is real. This is no joke. This is the fight for freedom. This is the fight for human rights. This is the fight for any sort of liberty that we may have. Me personally, I look back at my connection with my genetics and my family lines back to the revolution and realize that freedom did not come free and has not come free. And we need to continue to work for that, share our voices for that, and unite as a team, as a tribe, as a band of patriots to rise up and truly take back what is slowly being taken from us, starting with these big tech, big media. All of it is has literally been taking away the liberties of humanity. So as I continue to offer, as I continue to share, I'm going to try to bring in some guests, not today, but coming up in future weeks, some guests who are doing some really big work and waking people up and sharing some information. Uh, some people who have been really influential on this island and Hawaii in general. And so Tuesday, we're 5 days out from election. Tuesday is the big day where everybody needs to get out and put all their energy in and put the word out there. Share as much information with your friends and neighbors and family members and strangers on the street, and just share the message of what is truly going on. Share the message of awakening. Drop some red pills. We all need to step up and be red pill dealers right now. Share it all. Share it all. But so tonight I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to share some slides. I have probably way too much put together, but some of the stuff is old stuff, some of the stuff is new stuff. Um, but overall, this is my first attempt, and roll with it. See how it goes. So if you do like this, give a thumbs up, take a like, give me a follow. Have more information coming in the future about how to get in touch with me and how to continue to follow me. Yeah, this is the start of it all. This is where I begin, and hopefully, if it all goes well, keep on trucking. So, so as we know, big tech news media has really been manipulating this relationship to the people, and this truth. And the more I dig in, I'm always reminded. I remember May 7th, this article came out, and and I remember sitting down and thinking about what this actually meant. But if we go back to May 4th, actually, May 4th, this was published. Dems deploring DARPA-funded AI-driven information warfare tool to target pro-Trump accounts. An anti-Trump Democratic-aligned political action committee advised by retired Army General Stanley McChrystal. We know who Stanley McChrystal is. He is a general who, I believe, Afghanistan and Iraq was at one point in charge of the entire combat theater, is planning to deploy an information warfare tool that reportedly received intentional funding from initial funding, funded from Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, the Pentagon's secretive research funded by taxpayers' dollars. So your taxpayer dollars is going to fund and work. It's technology for one specific party, for one specific candidate. Interesting, huh? Transforming technology originally envisioned as a way to fight ISIS propaganda into a campaign platform to benefit Joe Biden. The Washington Post first reported that the initiative, called Defeat Disinfo, will utilize artificial intelligence and network analysis to map discussion of president's claims on social media and then attempt to intervene by identifying the most popular counter narrative and boosting them through a network of more than 3.4 million influencers across the country. In some cases, paying users with large followings to take sides against the president. Huh. That sounds a lot like campaign interference to me. If we take a look at that, like taxpayers funded in technology being used to influence an election. Huh. And yet we had almost 4 years of an investigation into our president for Russian collusion and accusations of manipulating an election. It's right here in front of us. They've come out and told us they're going to use 3.4 million influencers to control a narrative on social media and big tech. They're, wow. I can't even, like, you know, I've known this came out more May 4th. I knew about it, but it's just something really good to keep coming back and remembering. Biden's bodyguards, you know, like they're being protected by big tech, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. The amount of truth seekers and truth speakers that have been taken down off of the networks just for sharing their speech, being called hate crime, being called violence, being just for sharing truths. Just a level of destruction of First Amendment has been absolutely on display in an atrocious manner over the past 6 to 8 months, even longer, further back than that, as we know. But now it's just right in your face, and you have to be completely blind to miss this and not be able to actually see it. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's we need some big moves happening. And I know yesterday there was a little activity on in the Senate, I believe. I've actually taken a peek at this video yet, but let's see if I can find this video of what went down yesterday with Bezos and was it not Bezos? I'm sorry, the CEO of Zuckerberg and Jack Capitol Hill. See if this is maybe.
Okay, so this morning we have new video that has led to allegations of an election fraud.
Not the one I was looking for.
Republicans getting their chance to grill big tech CEOs over allegations of censorship. The heads of Twitter, Facebook, and Google all testifying today before a Senate committee. Watch this.
Mr. Dorsey, who the hell elected you and put you in charge of what the media are allowed to report and what the American people are allowed to hear? And why do you persist in behaving as a Democratic super PAC, silencing views to the contrary of your political beliefs?
We're not doing that. And this is why I opened this hearing with calls for more transparency.
Can you name for me one high-profile person or entity from a liberal ideology who you have censored?
Senator, I need to think about it and get you more of a list.
Jesse, I just thought to myself, it looks like they're concerned about censorship, but at the same time, whenever I look at Facebook, it's like 9 of the top 10 posts come from President Trump, come from Ben Shapiro and other conservatives. So why is the right wing saying they're being censored?
Because they are, Juan. Imagine, it would probably be all 10 out of 10 would have the most traffic on Facebook if there wasn't censorship. I don't know. I'm trying really hard not to talk about Jack Dorsey's beard. I made a commitment in the beginning of the year. I wasn't going to mention physical appearance, so I'm just going to try to stay with that. But Juan, I mean, it's clear. They couldn't name one liberal organization, one prominent Democrat that they've ever flagged for censorship. Yet I could name dozens of conservatives off the top of my head right now that have been censored. They say, oh, right now we don't know any evidence if there was any Russia disinformation with Hunter Biden, no evidence of hacking, and no evidence that it was forgeries, yet you still, the New York Post, can't tweet that article out. And they say we have all these fact checkers looking into it, and then Bob Alinsky told Tucker Carlson not one representative from Twitter or Facebook has called him to help verify the story. So we bring these guys in every couple months. They say they don't discriminate, then they fly home and discriminate. I'm sick of it.
Huh. Well, to my mind, Greg, I think that these big companies love clicks because clicks equal money, so they look the other way on disinformation most of the time.
Well, I don't know. You gotta when Twitter blocks Kayleigh McEnany, but not the Ayatollah, not the king of death to America. There's something going on here. I am just wondering where the traditional liberals went, the free speech absolutists. They were the ones that were always on this side, and now they're not, and they're on the side of an entity that is about controlling narratives. It's not about you don't cure censorship with more censorship. So it's bizarre that we're even having this discussion, but you have to look at what they're doing. They're controlling stories. They're controlling narratives through algorithms. That is the scary part of this.
Well, Dana, isn't it right to warn people about a post that says masks don't save lives?
I think here's the thing, is that under the law, as it was written in 1996 when the internet was just getting started, the Section 230, basically what it says is, you cannot be sued or held liable for anything that somebody else posts on your site. But it also said that you are a private company and therefore you are allowed to do whatever you want. So as Neil Ferguson said today on the Daily Briefing, it's a catch-22 for the consumer, of the information. And this is what I think. When you saw Ted Cruz today make that statement in the way that he did, even though this was an issue in 2016 and nobody did anything and now we're in 2020, I think this is going to be an issue that Republicans and Democrats both try to run on in 2024. In the meantime, technology continues to grow by leaps and bounds. So Washington is always so far behind where these guys are.
Kennedy, what do you think about conservatives suddenly trying to regulate private business?
I'm not a fan of it, but I don't think these big tech corporations have to worry about conservatives as much in terms of that 1996 law that Dana just pointed out as people like Elizabeth Warren. And if she becomes a part of the Biden administration, if he's elected, then she's going to do whatever she can if she is labor secretary or treasury secretary to dismantle these companies and take them apart, because I think you have a pretty robust antitrust appetite when it comes to big tech companies, and that's from both sides. So it's very interesting that that employees of these companies have poured so much money into Joe Biden's campaign and other Democrat races, because it's Democrats who want to take them apart and Republicans who are looking for this federal imposition of fairness. And Jack Dorsey perjured himself today when he said that the New York Post story is available for retweet. It is not. You cannot access it, and you cannot retweet it, and that is a lie. And he
So right there, absolute perjury, completely lying, still censoring the post, keeping that post not being able to be tweeted. The New York Post has broken a ton of the news over the past couple of weeks, exposing everything from Joe Biden's emails. They're the only newspaper who seems to be speaking any sort of truth and putting any sort of information out there that's not censored. And for these big tech companies to be weaponized to literally push one agenda and one candidate is just absolutely I don't even have words. It's ridiculous. This is the most disgusting thing that I've ever seen. And for these people out there who are completely defending them, that you too, you're disgusting. Like, we have free speech for a reason, and it's not selective free speech. So there's enough of that. So this is just a reminder, if we take a look at all this censorship, if we see what's happening and we watch the way that we've been weaponized in our communication in these social media platforms, brought back to this interview by Tucker, just to give us a little reminder about the color revolutions and what that's all about. Are we seeing anything interesting, any patterns? The color revolution, maybe the green revolution?
Someone who's been watching all of this is Darren Beattie. He's a former speechwriter for President Trump. He works now with Revolver News, the website. He says this is part of a familiar plan. In a recent piece, Revolver argued that Democratic operatives, including some who testified during the impeachment proceedings, are adopting the same tactics that U.S. intel agencies use to start so-called color revolutions in places like Ukraine. Darren Beattie joins us tonight to explain. Darren, thanks so much for coming on. So, for our viewers who are not familiar with the color revolutions in Eastern Europe, state as clearly as you can what you think is going on right now in this election. What's the end game for Democrats?
Yes, thank you for having me. Many have described the actions taken against Trump as a coup. And this is certainly correct, but it's a little bit general and vague. What's unfolding before our eyes is a very specific type of coup called the color revolution. It's a regime.
Sorry about that. Let's try that again.
Someone who's been watching all of this is Darren Beattie. He's a former speechwriter for President Trump. He works now with Revolver News, the website. He says this is part of a familiar plan. In a recent piece, Revolver argued that Democratic operatives, including some who testified during the impeachment proceedings, are adopting the same tactics that U.S. intel agencies use to start so-called color revolutions in places like Ukraine. Darren Beattie joins us tonight to explain. Darren, thanks so much for coming on. So, for our viewers who are not familiar with the color revolutions in Eastern Europe, state as clearly as you can what you think is going on right now in this election. What's the end game for Democrats?
Yes, thank you for having me. Many have described the actions taken against Trump as a coup. And this is certainly correct, but it's a little bit general and vague. What's unfolding before our eyes is a very specific type of coup called the color revolution. It's a regime change model favored by many in our national security apparatus, particularly against Eastern European countries, to overthrow, target regimes that they don't like. One model, which is not the color revolution model, is purely sending a bunch of troops into a country and removing by military force a leader you don't like. That's like the Iraq model.
Right.
The color revolution model is a little bit more delicate and subtle. It has several characteristics, but the chief characteristics of it is a combination of an engineered contested elections scenario combined with massive mobilized protests, which they call, as a term of art, peaceful protests and acts of civil disobedience. If that sounds familiar, it gets even better. It's not only the same strategies and tactics used against Trump that's used against Eastern European dictators that our national security apparatus doesn't like. It's literally the same people who are color revolution professionals who have a long history of using these same tactics against foreign leaders they don't like to use against democratically elected President Donald Trump. It's the same people using the very same playbook. Now, I'd like to talk about one of the key figures in this operation, a nexus point not only between color revolutions overseas and the color revolution against Trump, but a nexus point between lawfare and mass mobilization and so-called peaceful protests. This is a man by the name of Norm Eisen. Norm Eisen is a key legal hatchet man, Democrat operative, former Obama ethics czar, believe it or not. And he is also a key architect of nearly every effort to censor, sue, impeach, and overthrow the president. He is the author of, in fact, a color revolution playbook, literally called the playbook. And one of the items he calls for in his playbook to overthrow regimes overseas he doesn't like is engineering election fraud scenarios, using election fraud to engineer mass protests to question the legitimacy of the target leader. Norm Eisen has a long and checkered history going all the way back to his days at Crew, which is a lawfare arm. He's been behind over 180 lawsuits against Trump. He authored 10 articles of impeachment before the president's phone call was even made. He was special counsel to the Democrats for the impeachment process. He was literally involved in every aspect of this color revolution against Trump. His latest act, and perhaps his greatest act coming up, is to use lawfare in order to overturn the 2020 election using various legal theories, principally his theory about...
Norm Eisen. Remember the name. I'm sorry, Darren, we're out of time. I appreciate that. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. We take a look at what's happening in this country, and sounds pretty similar to the color revolutions. When you have you have Stanley McChrystal running a operation to control the information in this country, control the narrative to literally basically bring lies to the people. And then you have Norm Eisen, who's hired by the Democratic Party as a strategist, who literally wrote the playbook for the color revolutions. It's pretty clear what's happening. It's a no-brainer in my eyes. Man, this is ridiculous. Free speech is being taken down left and right, and it's all being manipulated by these characters who have been being paid straight off by some serious villains, I guess we'll say, serious evil characters who are manipulating media and our minds. The occupation of the American mind is real, and it really has led us to a place of just utter corruption. The swamp is deeper than we could possibly imagine.
Okay, so this morning we have new video that has led to allegations of an election fraud scheme right here in Bexar County.
Allegations of an election fraud scheme in Bexar County.
Possibly illegal ballot harvesting schemes uncovered by Project Veritas.
Investigando estas acusaciones de fraude tras el video publicado por Project Veritas.
They are looking into this video that came out today from Project Veritas.
Project Veritas released the video. A political consultant in town allegedly talking an elderly woman into changing her mail-in vote. Project Veritas says she gave a gift, a shawl, to this woman and helps her change a vote from one candidate to another.
We have to release our stories now because we're running out of time before the election day. And these sorts of voter fraud situations could sway the election here in Texas. It's very significant, the number of ballots that are being harvested.
Texas AG Ken Paxton sent us this statement. What's shown in the video is shocking and should alarm all Texans who care about election integrity.
Thanks to Project Veritas, we are seeing a lot of different voter fraud be exposed. And I know the mainstream media and the Dems have been clearly saying that election fraud is a hoax and that mail-in ballots are completely safe and secure. And as we can see, there's evidence everywhere across the country and every state on how far from the truth that actually is. So, I'm praying every day that we've got enough of this red wave to take this election without having to go to the courts and having to battle this situation all the way through the Supreme Courts, all the way through the month of December and maybe even to January. But hopefully if we can take the popular vote and can take the electoral vote with a confident absolute victory, then they can't deny us. They can't push their agenda through on the American population. Continue to trust the guidance of God, trust in the belief that this is handled for good. Luckily, this woman has made it to the Supreme Court, She was confirmed earlier this week, and we now have a 6-3 conservative majority on the board. And be big influence in bringing some truth, bringing some I'm looking for clarity to this insane journey that we've been on. And as we saw a week ago today, we saw the debates. Of course, this is a good go-to here. You can ask about that hat because we haven't verified it's a hat. It speaks so truth what is actually going on. So as we keep going through, I'm going to roll through this stuff I have prepared for us here and get as far through as that I can. Thanks for bearing with me and being part of my first inaugural show live. I wanted to try this live and go this way where I can be organic and raw. Not use editing software to make myself look refined. I just gotta be real in who I am, and this allows for a lot of spontaneity and allows for me to share some stuff on the fly as it happens, as news breaks, and be on top of it and share it as it happens. So here's another little thing that happened with our amazing press secretary Kaylee in an interview on Fox.
Joe Biden. Joe Biden censored 0 times, notably. No, because we're taking our message directly to the American people. We'll be making 5 rally stops a day. 5.
Let's try that again.
Joe Biden censored 0 times, notably. No, because we're taking our message directly to the American people. We'll be making 5 rally stops a day. 5. 1,000 show up. Literally, we had 25,000 people show up in Omaha. These are historic crowds. The president takes his message directly to the American people, and shame on Jack Dorsey. As the New York Post noted today, this is a mob artist. This is a shakedown effort to say, delete the Hunter Biden story. The media won't report on it. Social media will censor it, delete it, or we will censor the 4th largest newspaper in the United States. We will block them from social media. Big tech needs to be handled, and this president in a second term will do just that, because there needs to be equity. There needs to be a lack of censorship. This is what happens in North Korea, not in the United States of America. Yeah, look, the American people have a very clear choice when it comes to COVID. You can vote on Joe Biden, where you will be locked down. Your schools will be closed. Your churches will be closed. You won't have social gatherings. It will be a lockdown, versus President Trump, where we are safely reopening this country. Americans deserve jobs. They deserve freedom. Joe Biden's modeling his strategy, which is lockdown in the basement. But this president has surged therapeutics and testing and a vaccine in record time. We can control this, but at the same time, we can open this country and not lock down like Joe Biden will do. That's right. It's their livelihood. These are small businesses, people who have worked their entire lives to open these shops, these businesses. And then on top of that, you have 30 police officers who were injured on the first night of the riots, one run over by a car, a chance to stuff police officers in trunks, a vehicle with explosive devices. Let me be crystal clear why this is happening. It's because Democrats have enabled the mob. When they attack our police officers verbally, it ends up that they end up being attacked physically. It's called what Jim Comey said, the Ferguson effect, and we're seeing it play out yet again.
So as we have 70 new infections a day and 29 states have hit highs, is the president's approach herd immunity?
No, the president's approach is therapeutics, which, by the way, have given us the lowest case fatality rate in the world, far lower than Europe's. Right now, when you look across the hospitals in the United States, the percentage of COVID patients in hospital beds is 6%. It's because this president did things right. You have a 99% survival rate under 70 and above 70 because of our therapeutics. It's very close to that because of what this president did, tearing down bureaucratic barriers, tearing down regulations, formulations, paving the way for therapeutics. We have done this right, and the Europe-United States comparison tells that story.
All right, Kayleigh McEnany. Fact is, every time I've called the president, he's quickly gotten on the line. When we asked to get support for that Mercy ship in Southern California, he was able to direct that in real time.
What the federal government did, working with states, was a phenomenal accomplishment.
We got 2,000 of these field medical sites that are up, almost all operational now in the state because of his support. And those are the facts.
His team has been on it. I know a team when they're on it, and I know a team when they're not on it. His team is on it. They've been responsive late at night, early in the morning.
We are working very well with FEMA Region 2 and with the Army Corps of Engineers, building 4 field hospitals. That was a decision the president himself took, and I'm grateful for it.
These were just extraordinary efforts and acts of mobilization. And the federal government stepped up. We needed help, and they were there.
He said everything that I could have hoped for. And we had a very long conversation. And every single thing he said, they followed through on.
We've got to have double the number of ventilators that we requested for that area of the state. And in fact, we got them in, frankly, short order.
Have we lost anyone because we didn't have a bed, or we didn't have a ventilator, or we didn't have healthcare staff? No.
The president was extending support for new swabs. So conversation, commitment, promise made, promise kept.
There we go.
Now, to
that
be
was,
fair,
shared.
maybe Biden's not telling us because he's forgotten his own plans.
One of the rallies this week.
Watch Biden's staff quickly swoop in to shuffle him along during a quickie escape the basement trip to Pennsylvania.
Here's the deal. One of the things that is important is that keep in mind, although they're going to vote on Barrett, I think today.
That was terrifying.
What kind of country we're going to be? 4 more years of Georgia, he's going to find ourselves in a position where if Trump gets elected, we're going to be in a different world.
Wow, that was a great video all the way through. That's being shown at one of the Trump rallies, I think today or yesterday, and it just clearly shows how even Cuomo had nothing but good things to say about Trump's his administration's active ability to handle COVID and mobilize the troops, the hospital ships, the treatments, just how advanced he actually has been. And at the end there, it's some typical Joe Biden, just stumbling over words, forgetting who he's actually running against. I don't even know if he actually knows where he is or who he is. As we can see, man, this man has got all the guns pointed at his head, and he just keeps pushing forward. He's like a bulletproof man. Gave up everything. He knew his life and the lives of his family would forever be changed. He knows the consequences. A man who had everything to do it. His heart's bigger than his ego. He cares. This is a great little meme that came out. Trump kids in cages was Obama. Trump colluded with foreign agent to influence the 2016 election. Yeah, that was Hillary. Trump had quid pro quo with Ukraine. Yeah, good old Joe. Democratic Party is just being held up right now by the mainstream media and by the AI agenda, and big tech has their backs, and it's the only thing holding them up because they've got no platform except for spreading fear. And the fears, people are not afraid of them anymore. Everything's being exposed, everything's being brought to light. And there's nothing but panic in DC. And they didn't think she would lose because they knew that if she lost, it was all the stuff they were covering up was coming to the light. That's the Trump administration. The Patriots have done nothing but stand up and expose it. Face of the fire, face of all the attacks, all the brutal slaying of their lives, like putting it all on the line. And what do we do? We have these democratic hags, these just absolute witches, just calling for nothing but violence, spreading hate.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there is unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
That's it right there, pull it up.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Just disgusting. They've got nothing but fear. They've got nothing but anger. Just makes me so just angry. I just can't even believe that these are the people that have been elected into offices within our country. It's just nothing. It's mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing that these are the people who are literally leading our country. I look forward to the day that this man ends up exposing them all, put them right where they belong. This is just ridiculous. I've had enough of it, and I think the American people have had enough of it. And we're going to speak with our vote on Tuesday, and the red wave is going to wash over the United States. We're going to have a landslide victory for our president. This month, the hunters have definitely become the hunted, and it's interesting that Hunter has been the center of the news recently. We've gotten a lot of exposure of his crimes, which has exposed his father and the rest of his family in a big way, and the crimes run deep, many different levels, from human trafficking, pedophilia, child sex videos, porn. His drug use has become absolutely apparent, and the level of treason, Biden's and the Biden family, just on the table right now, and just completely in full view. Nothing can be hidden. The other interesting thing is yesterday there's a DOJ meeting about some Chinese folks who were in this country. They were hunters, basically hunting down what the Chinese party called criminals people that have left China and were living in the United States under either other identities or hiding from the Chinese government. Trying to track him down, and these people were arrested for acting in the country as agents, and the assistant district attorney twice within his press conference mentioned that the hunters have truly now become the hunted, and this month has been Hunters Become the Hunted month. And what's interesting, coming up Saturday, we have a full moon with an eclipse, which is actually on Halloween, and it's the Hunter's moon. So it's an interesting pattern that going through, and there's got to be something to it. I haven't really figured it all out yet, but eyes are peeled as we move into November. It's obvious. Corruption. Point it all at Donald Trump because, finger away from where it belongs. Not after me, that after you. This man's standing up and protecting us. He's been there from the beginning, and he continues to be there. And now that these have come out, Hunter Biden exposes it all. And GTV has released Hunter Biden's sex tapes and his drug paraphernalia experiences. And the U.S. presidential candidate Joe Biden is 100% controlled by the Chinese Communist Party as one of the most successful political instances of the BGY program. BGY program, from what I understand, is the program that's set up to basically gather political figures and get blackmailing footage on them and use that to manipulate them in order to take down the United States. Fall, fail, fell. To weaken, destroy, kill America. This was in one of the videos on the GTV that was with Joe Biden's information. I find it very interesting. Joe Biden demands Chinese billionaire pays $10 million to introduce him to his father. So, dude, where's my laptop? This guy's been missing for a while. Where's Hunter? Actually, something came up on Twitter. I haven't been able to verify it, but let me show you this. Anyway, there was something that came up that I can't verify it. I don't know where it came from, but it did have the label of the CIA on it, and it said that Joe Biden had turned himself in. Is testifying currently. We'll have to find out about that, see if that is just more disinfo or if there's actually any truth to it. But there's been many rumors recently about Hunter showing up and killing himself and turning himself in, and there's all sorts of rumors out there. It's hard to really pay attention. It's real truth. A time will tell. Here are some of the things that have come out. The Biden's child porn, and recently we've been talking about Hillary and her crimes. And this picture came out recently, reposted again, of Anderson Cooper with his mother, the sacrificial altar behind the bed. And I came back to this post that I've seen multiple times that keeps coming back in my head. Sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. Only when the people find the will to change, crimes against children unite all humanity across party lines. Difficult truths. Very difficult truths. A lot of our population doesn't want to look at it, but it seems to be right in front of our eyes. Joe M. on Parler, he's posted this picture recently. Joe Biden kissing his granddaughter. And he asked is this really his granddaughter at all? Is this naked relative on Hunter's laptop? Did these just be trafficked sex slaves, which they present to the world as family for cover? You may be wrong, but what you soon learn about the Biden crime family will be infinitely more sick. Obama's kids were provided to him to create the illusion of a regular American family so his handlers could steal the presidency. No reason to believe Biden's granddaughters are really related to him either. Joe M. dropping some information. We'll see. Only time will tell. Only history will tell the truth about what is really going on here. But as light keeps getting shined on this, we start to see some patterns happening. And what is inappropriate to us and sick to us is just normal. It's normal to these people. Sources close to and with deep knowledge of investigation have informed me that Chris Coons' daughter, in addition to several other underage girls, are also featured on Hunter Biden's laptop. Yeah, it's amazing how these kids have been programmed, maybe, been literally trained, been just bred, positioned to be controlled, used. It's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. Speaking of disgusting, these are some of the pictures that came out on Hunter's laptop. And being released, we don't need to see that very longer. But I see a pattern here, like father and like son, right? It's been pretty open knowledge that Joe Biden can't keep his hands off of women. And even the Secret Service has had many, many stories about how they had to have extra people on when he's in public and around women and children. And just looking at this guy and the way he touches these kids is just absolutely disgusting. And I think it runs deep. I think it's a pattern that runs within these families, these political families that have literally been like feeding the swamp for decades. In addition, another picture came out. This is a picture of Nancy Pelosi's son. There's multiple pictures of Nancy Pelosi's son abusing a girl. I'm sure we're about to find out a little bit more. Good old Hunter Biden. Proud father. This is the man everybody wants to be able to call their son. As you see, the evidence just keeps coming out. Most people are saying is that the evidence on his laptop is bad. It's really bad. We know, we've heard rumors about and heard most people talk about the evidence on Anthony Weiner's laptop and some of the stuff that was on there, some of the videos that were on there, and it was absolutely disgusting, horrifying, terrifying. And I think that as we're going to hear here, this is just a quick little clip.
Footage here on the hard drive. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being I can't get it out of my mind ever, 1 being snooze fest, about being horrific. 1 to 10 of the Hunter Biden footage. Where is it?
It's a 20. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
So as I've heard, that's coming from someone who's investigated that laptop. It's the worst thing he's ever seen in his life. A 20. I can't even imagine. I can't even. I personally can't believe that the American people can even actually handle the information and the truth that's about to come out. Some people will not be able to come back from this situation. So pray to God that all of us, if we don't see the evidence, if we can at least understand that it's beyond anything that we can imagine. Last week, Tony Bobulinski came out right before the debate, and in classic Trump style, Trump brought him right to the debate and put him right down front of Joe Biden. What a great way to do that. It's just classic. Last night or a couple nights ago was on Tucker, and I got a couple little clips from Tony that be hearing plenty more from him in the future.
I would love for him to go on record. As I referenced earlier, I'm only sitting here because they have not only have they not gone on record, they've denied it, and they've tarred my family name and a long history of serving this country, and have other congressmen out talking about Russian disinformation.
This whole smear on Joe Biden comes from the Kremlin.
I held a top secret clearance from the NSA and the DOE. I served this country for 4 years in one of the most elite environments in the world, Naval Nuclear Power Training Command. And to have a congressman out there speaking about Russian disinformation, or Joe Biden at a public debate referencing Russian disinformation, when he knows he sat face to face with me, that I was traveled around the world with his son and his brother, to say that and associate that with my name is absolutely disgusting to me.
The way they treated this man, the way they smeared his name, can't blame him coming out and just being a true patriot and sharing the information.
So I think Joe Biden and the Biden family are compromised. Obviously, I've referenced that I held a Q clearance. You're briefed on compromise and who you're able to talk with and deal and do business with. And I just don't see, given the history here and the facts, how Joe can't be influenced in some manner based on the history that they have here with CFC and stuff like that. So as a citizen and an American taxpayer, I'm very, very concerned.
There you go. Tony Bobulinski. I found it very interesting that it came out that he has Q clearance, part of the DOE Q clearance. And it's amazing how many folks out there who haven't understood what has been going on with the CUE, favorite Patriot Intel insider, and they didn't want to actually look into and believe that there's anything called Q clearance. It's got a lot of people doing some investigations, a lot of people looking up, what is this? A lot of people, a lot of anti-Trumpers, never-Trumpers out there is just being like, oh, he's part of a conspiracy. He's Q clearance. But as we know, there's this truth to this top secret release of information. And Tony Bobulinski, a true patriot, has come out and shared some really good information with us. To get into a little bit more information, we're going to run through some slides and show you
also
some more
breaking
clips.
tonight, the third story in a row, there are new developments in the Hunter Biden email story. Here's senior political correspondent Mike Emanuel in Washington. Good evening, Mike.
Brett, good evening. One senior federal official tells Fox News the FBI and DOJ concur with DNI John Ratcliffe's assessment that Hunter Biden's laptop and emails were not part of a Russian disinformation campaign. And the senior federal official says the FBI is in possession of the Hunter Biden laptop in question. That breaking moments ago. Also late today, a new photo has emerged in the New York Post showing former Vice President Joe Biden, son Hunter, and purported Kazakh officials. It is undated. We're checking with our sources to get as much information as we can about it and the proper context, as we are with all the new revelations in this Hunter Biden story. Big tech about to be under the spotlight. Negotiations continue with Senate Judiciary, which is threatening subpoenas for the CEOs of Facebook and Twitter on Thursday.
We should have no more foot dragging. We should have proactive action here to address the concentration, to address the power, to address the censorship.
Some Republicans charging censorship, even election interference, as the
Has more on
social
these
media
allegations.
platforms blocked distribution of the initial Hunter Biden email story.
You look at all the corruption in his family, it's tremendous corruption. Nobody's ever seen. I mean, that laptop, nobody has ever seen anything like that. He's gone into hiding.
President Trump accusing Joe Biden of staying away from reporters ahead of Thursday night's debate to avoid answering questions about his son Hunter's purported laptop and emails. The president also jumped on this May 2017 email with Chinese energy executives verified by a source on the email chain, which discusses payment for 6 people. It includes a reference to 10% of the equity in the deal being held by H, assumed to be Hunter, for the big guy, which sources say is Joe Biden.
The vice president got a kickback, and everybody knows it, and they've known it for a long time.
Fox News has obtained images, including what appears to be a receipt from the Wilmington, Delaware computer repair shop signed by Hunter Biden. It also listed an email and cell phone number for him, and documentation from the FBI's interaction with shop owner John Paul MacIsaac. It shows the Bureau took possession of an alleged Hunter Biden laptop and external hard drive last December. Senate Homeland Security Chairman Ron Johnson wants answers about the FBI's actions since then.
The FBI owes us a defensive briefing. If this shop owner is fraudulently peddling information to the Congress, that's a crime. The FBI ought to brief us on that as well.
Investigative journalist Glenn Greenwald notes the Biden campaign's silence on the authenticity of what's been reported.
No one in the Biden camp, not Hunter Biden, not Joe Biden, not anyone with the Biden campaign has even insinuated, let alone stated, that the emails are anything other than authentic.
The FBI has made every effort to stay out of the 2020 election after it was front and center in 2016 with Hillary Clinton's emails and her private server. But tonight, some breaking news. We are told by a senior federal official that the FBI is in possession of the laptop and that the FBI and DOJ concur with the Director of National Intelligence that this is not part of a Russian disinformation campaign. Brett?
Well, that's significant, Mike. We'll stay on that. More on this with the panel.
There you go. That's probably many of you have seen that already. But some good information to continue to be reminded of. And, this just came out. Let's go and see if I can share this with you. Computer's down here. All right. There we go.
A Justice Department official confirmed to Sinclair that back in 2019, the FBI opened up a criminal investigation into Hunter Biden and his associates that is focused on allegations of money laundering and remains open and active today.
Tony Bobulinski, thank you for joining us from Los Angeles.
Separately, Tony Bobulinski, the former business partner of Hunter Biden, who has cited emails, documents, and other evidence to allege that former Vice President Biden was more deeply involved in his son's business dealings in China than either man has acknowledged, told Sinclair he was interviewed by the FBI in Washington on October 23rd with counsel present for about 5 hours, with up to 6 agents in the room at one time. He said the agents carefully examined the digital evidence captured on the 3 cell phones Bobulinski made available and told him he will be brought back for additional questioning.
They do list me as a material witness within the entire FBI on their computer systems, and it was a very cooperative, deep dive into all the facts across that time period.
In connection with what were you listed as a material witness?
In connection with the discussion of the Biden family, CFC, and other operations around the world involving other countries.
CEFC is the Chinese energy giant, effectively an arm of the government and the Communist Party, with which Hunter Biden pursued a $10 million deal, according to Bobulinski's first-hand account and a wealth of evidence now in the public domain. It was from CEFC, according to a Senate report, that Hunter Biden's law firm, through a company he helped set up, received approximately $5 million in the summer of 2017.
Joe, what's that all about? This president paid 50 times the tax in China.
It was prior to the final presidential debate in Nashville on October 22nd that Bobulinski, a former Naval Nuclear Command officer with a Q-level security clearance, now a wealthy corporate investor, first went public with his charges about the Biden family, including his account of 2 face-to-face meetings with the former vice president. The FBI interviewed Bobulinski the very next day.
Did you get the sense that the FBI had already been working on these related issues
and matters prior to you making that public statement in Nashville?
My impression is everyone in that room was very aware of the sensitivity of the parties involved here and potential multiple impacts to this country.
Vice President Biden has denied having any knowledge of his son's overseas business dealings, but the authenticity of the digital evidence that Bobulinski has cited has not been disputed by the Biden campaign. The campaign's director of rapid response did not respond to our requests for comment. In Washington, James Rosen.
Well, there you have it. Investigation has been going on, and I continue to dive into that and keep watching how it continues to unfold. I'm getting pretty late here. I'm gonna try to share a couple more things and then say goodbye. First inaugural episode of the Illumination Zone. This place where we can come together and share all sorts of information and have some enlightenment, some illumination on truths and things that need to be seen and looked at, and platform for truth seekers and truth speakers. So as I keep going forward, hopefully I'll get more refined and develop a clearer, more concise way to present this information. But I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Anybody who's actually tuned in and actually take a look at what I'm doing. If you like it, click follow me, and tell me what you think. If any sort of feedback, any sort of assistance is always welcome. A couple little quick more videos here. There's a Trump ad that was put out.
He didn't even condemn the people who came out of the fields in Charlottesville, their veins bulging, carrying Nazi flags.
I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
He hadn't even condemned the Ku Klux Klan yet.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans.
When has he spoken up about peace and unity?
America desperately needs unity, and it needs the spirit of togetherness. I stand before you as a friend and ally to every American seeking justice and peace. Healing, not hatred, justice, not chaos, are the mission at hand. Now is the time to find the courage to answer hatred with unity, devotion, and love.
He said nothing about the pandemic. Did you hear him talk about it at all?
Many Americans, including me, have sadly lost friends and cherished loved ones to this horrible disease. As one nation, we mourn, we grieve, and we hold in our hearts forever the memories of all of those lives that have been so tragically taken. So unnecessary. In their honor, we will unite. In their memory, we will overcome. And when the China virus hit, we launched the largest national mobilization since World War II. Invoking the Defense Production Act, we produced the world's largest supply of ventilators. We shipped hundreds of millions of masks, gloves, and gowns to our frontline healthcare workers. To protect our nation's seniors, we rushed supplies, testing kits, and personal to nursing homes. We gave everything you can possibly give, and we're still giving it because we're taking care of our senior citizens. We developed a wide array of effective treatments, including a powerful antibody treatment known as convalescent plasma that will save thousands and thousands of lives. Most importantly, we are marshaling America's scientific genius to produce a vaccine in record time. We will have a safe and effective vaccine this year, and together we will crush the virus.
There we have it, the Commander-in-Chief speaking truth. These people who have called him racist and xenophobic and hate-filled are just disgusting to me. And this man is just true to the heart. I have nothing but respect and love for him. A couple last little videos, and then we'll call it a night.
This is probably the worst criminal activity I've ever seen in terms of effect on government. And I've prosecuted 100 public corruption cases, including congressmen, commissioners in New York City, 70 police officers. I mean, I've done a lot of corruption cases, and I've done them as RICO cases. This is the strongest case I've ever seen. It's also the most shocking. This is the highest level of government where I've seen this kind of corruption. The Vice President of the United States for 8 years was thoroughly corrupt. He was available to the highest bidder. The documents prove it. His son says for 30 years he's been doing this, and he's got to pay for all the expenses, and he's got to kick back half to the old man. I mean, what do we need beyond that?
Rudy Giuliani stood up to the mafia, stood up to corruption in New York, and there's nobody better to sit here and help drain the swamp with Trump.
Here's how you can spot a zombie. Look for someone who has a corpse-like appearance, exhibits aggressive behavior, craves human flesh, and utters incoherent moans and groans.
I don't know.
With your help, we can prevent the zombie uprising.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this.
You know, we have to come together. That's why I'm running. I'm running as a... You know, we have to come together. That's why I'm running. I'm running as a proud Democrat for the Senate.
Doesn't even know who he is, where he is, or what he's running for. And it shows in his crowd size. While we have our POTUS showing up with crowds of thousands, sharing their love for this man and chanting, I love you at every stop on the rally. And meanwhile, Joe Biden with his buddy Obama. A little bit of difference in excitement level. Very similar though, you know. Very similar setup. You can see a lot of excitement around there. There's definitely some energy being built. Excitement that's been built up around our president has just been absolutely unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've never seen an organization come together to support a president in this way. And if there's any president who deserves it, this is the man who stood up for us. This is the man who's been there for us all through the beginnings for the last 4 years. This is the man who's done some of the greatest things any president's done in my lifetime. And I continue to be amazed by the way he shows up, the way he works his ass off, and the way he just does not give up. This man is going to keep fighting for us for the next 4 years. And we need to keep fighting for him. We need to stand for him. We need to put him back in for 4 more years. He also just got nominated for a 5th Nobel Peace Prize this week. And he is just a absolute machine. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye and give you a little glimpse here of end of the RNC at the White House. Beautiful fireworks display. This is our president who made America great again and brought back patriotism to our country. Made us proud to truly be Americans. And with that, I say thank you guys for joining me. And once again, my name is Scott, or Nexius, and this is the Illumination Zone. And hopefully, if I can keep it going, keep it building, this will just get bigger and better and greater, and I'll get smoother at this, I promise. And just continue to keep sharing the things that are passionate to me, and create a platform for the people that I know that are warriors, that are truth seekers, that are truth sharers. And this is a place where we'll talk about yoga and spirituality and breath work and politics and news and consciousness and technology. This will be a platform that we can continue to build and utilize. And as I learn more, as I get better at all of this, it'll just continue to grow and share. And so if you like what I'm doing, continue to click like, click follow. You can check me out as Hanuman G on Twitter, and TJ Nexius on SoundCloud. And yeah, vote Tuesday, November 3rd, Donald Trump. Vote red all the way. We need to bring some freedom back to this country. We need to bring some control back to this country, and support your friends and families to handle the red pill in a smooth way. And may we continue to wake up America, and may we continue to red pill the world so that we can expand consciousness, bring love, law, and order back to this great, great nation of ours. So I say good night to you all. Grateful that you've came to join me if you did. Number one out of the way. See you soon. Hello.